we're going to be turning left on the 3rd Street. If you look to the left and look up, when we get just about to the middle of the intersection, start looking right about now, you can see a church steeple up there. I don't know if you had time to make out what's up on top of the church steeple. You'll be able to see as we get a little bit closer. Setting up on top stands a 5-foot tall iron rooster. The rooster was cast at Wilmington Iron Works, the church. It is the first Presbyterian church. It's actually the 4th church that they've had. They've lost 3 others to fire. They completed this last church. They put the rooster on top. Now the rooster got some attention a couple of summers ago. The Seattle Mariners came to Wilmington. They wanted to put a farm team in town. They sent some of their scouts down to kind of scout out what would be a good name for the team. They were staying downtown at some of our local bed and breakfasts. They happened to be up one morning. They looked up, they saw the rooster. They thought that would be the perfect name for the team. They called themselves the Port City Roosters. Well, the Port City Roosters, they never did quite catch the fire in Wilmington like church did. Only lasted a couple of seasons, and they did pack up and head out of here. They did not have very good fan support. You lean down right about now. You look up towards the top of the church spire, which would be over here on the right-hand side. You may be able to see the old rooster up there. Now the beige home here on the left, this is Latimer Home. It's home to the Lower Cape Fears Historical Society. Home is also open for tours. The pink home coming up on the left, this today another bed and breakfast. That was originally the home Henry Bacon was born in. Name Henry Bacon doesn't ring a bell. He was an architect. He did design the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. He also had designed this home that's here on the right-hand side. Has brown shingles up on the top level. Henry Bacon was born and raised here in Wilmington. He's also buried out at Wilmington's Oakdale Cemetery. He was mainly a college campus planner. Now the church here on the right, St. James Episcopal Church. This is the oldest church in the Cape Fear area. This church has twice been stripped of its pews during wartime. First, Lord Cornwallis made it to Wilmington. He saw this church sitting here. He thought this would be the perfect spot to keep his horses. He did strip it of its pews. He turned it into horse stables. Later, when the Civil War made it to town, church was again stripped of its pews. This time it was turned into a hospital, and both times Episcopals did regain control of their church. Now the next building that's coming up, it's going to be straight in front of us. We're actually going to turn in front of you over to the left. This is the Temple of Israel. That's the oldest Jewish synagogue in the state of North Carolina. Here on the right, the little cemetery here is St. James Cemetery. There are only about 123 graves that do remain in this yard here. Most of the tombstones are so deteriorated you can't even tell who's buried in there anymore. One person of some note that is buried there is a man by the name of James Glover. While he was living in Wilmington, when he had died, he was married to Mary Baker Eddy. After his death, she later went on to find the Christian Scientist. Those two moved from Charleston to Wilmington, get into the fast-growing construction business here in town. Shortly after they moved here, he became ill and died, left her here penniless, and she was escorted back to Charleston by the St. John's Masons. We're heading up another one of our little brick and bumpy streets, and while we are, there is one thing that I had forgotten to tell you about the First Presbyterian Church. At one time, there was a Reverend Joseph Wilson that preached in there. Now, Reverend Wilson had a sickly son named Tommy. Little Tommy didn't get out very much. When he did, he was good with a slingshot. He'd go around to the residents in here, bust out just about anything glass he could find with a slingshot. Little Tommy did get better. Grew up, went on to Princeton University, later became the 28th President of the United States. As President Woodrow Wilson, he was raised right here in Wilmington. Now you look to the right and you look up, you may be able to see the old rooster up there. Sometimes he's easier to see from this side. The big yellow home that's straight in front of us over here on the right hand side. This is not the original home that stood right here. There was originally a different home that had stood here. In that home there was a little girl born. Her name was Anna McNeil. Now Anna McNeil grew up and married a General Whistler. They spent most of their lives together in London, England. Had 2 sons over there. The youngest son was James McNeil Whistler. Now, do you get the picture? This is where Whistler's mother was born, little lady in the chair in the portrait. She was born and raised here in Wilmington, and she lived in Wilmington till she was about 15. At that time, her family had moved her away from Wilmington. She was always proud of her Wilmington heritage, though. Even on her tombstone today in London notes she was born Wilmington, North Carolina, USA. Now coming up over here on the right, this says Taliston School. This school was put here before public education had came into the South. Had some New Yorkers to come down, open up this school. They did end up educating such people as the Keenan family, Henry Bacon, and Woodrow Wilson. These people, they might not have gotten a formal or a public education. New Yorkers hadn't come down, open up this school. It was operated as part of New Hanover County Schools for a number of years, has recently sold to the Catholic Church. And they're renovating that building, and they're using it as a school again. Back over here on the left, this is St. Mary's Catholic Church. Church was originally planned to be a Catholic cathedral. It was built by a father and son team. Interesting way they went about building the church here. They did not use hammers, nails, wood, or scaffolding to build it. It's all brick and mortar. Father and son team later went on to do some work for Asheville's Biltmore Estates. They also built the Natural History Museum in Washington, D.C. The Catholics of Wilmington thought they could build a large enough Catholic church here. The bishop was sitting here making that a Catholic cathedral, ended up staying in Raleigh, leaving the St. Catholic Church.